It's cringy and it's bad. Stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
Hi everyone, it's Jayla, and today I'm going to be talking about everything I read in the month of November. It was a light reading month, but there were some bangers in here, so let's get into it. In total, I read 5 books this year, and I was still kind of in a Halloween-y mood because it was only the beginning of November. So I read The Year of the Witching by Alexis Henderson, and this book was phenomenal. The Year of the Witching follows this girl named Emmanuelle who is living in this kind of alternative universe, Puritan era, I would say. But Emmanuelle lives in this very religious village, and it's basically like the ruling person is the highest religious figure who is called the prophet. Everyone does what the prophet says or believes what he tells them. This is a society that is restrictive of women's freedoms, and often, you know, they have to be a certain way, behave a certain way. Emmanuelle has always been kind of an outsider because A, she's not a fair-skinned lady who has a lot of money and stuff like that. She is actually a descendant of people who are from the outskirts, and that typically means brown people. So she doesn't look like everyone else, and on top of that, her mom has a rough past with the village because she tried to kill the prophet many years before when they were actually married. So after that attempted murder, she disappeared into the woods, which is not something that people in the village are really allowed to do because the woods have been known to be this haunted, just evil, sinister force, and there's witches in them, stuff like that. That's all the people believe. And so all that to say that Emmanuelle ends up, you know, venturing into these woods. She finds out some things, and it leads to a whole lot of mess. I loved Emmanuelle as a main character. She wasn't too plain, but she also wasn't like overly eager to do things or like break the rules or anything like that, because it is really a society where she needs to stay in line to take care of her family, and she's not trying to mess with anything she's not supposed to mess with. The story has witches, identity politics, definitely a lot of stuff relating to women's rights and the demonization of women, kind of using them as scapegoats, stuff like that. I really wish they would have downplayed the witch thing in this book, though. That was my only real gripe with it. That and the finale, I really was not impressed with the ending of this book. I felt like it could have been so much stronger, but overall the book was a really fun, it was a really cool experience. Then I read Severance by Ling Ma, and I had gotten this for my book of the month in November. I really didn't know too much about it except that it was a satirical kind of approach to the end of the world, or more so a pandemic that kind of destroys America. And so it follows a character named Candace who is working in New York when this pandemic hits, which is very similar to how it's spread here currently in 2020. It just makes them kind of stuck in this loop of repeating the same action over and over again until they deteriorate and die. So it follows Candace in both the past and present, so right before the virus hits up until like she's living during the like spreading of the virus, and then after that when everything is basically apocalyptic and she is traveling with this group of people trying to find shelter and safety. I thought it was going to be a little bit more funny, which it did have its moments of like clever, witty funniness, but other than that, it was not really that. It was a very dark book also, but that's to be expected when you're traveling through a desolate America and everyone's dying of a virus. So I didn't hate the direction it went in. I actually really enjoyed the book overall, but I will say that like just from the synopsis, it's not really, I feel like, what the synopsis tells you it is, so just go into it knowing that. Other than that, I just want to say how great the character of Candace Chin was. This book talks a lot about the immigrant experience as well. Her parents are first generation immigrants, and yeah, they came over from some more rural area of China, and then her being American born Chinese, and so with her job that she gets, which is a large part of the book, she has to travel to China sometimes to like do business. And in those scenes, it talks about those cultural gaps that she can't quite fill because she doesn't have a full grasp of the language, or she doesn't know about this thing or that thing. And so it's just very interesting to hear about her experience. I also just liked how it talked about being a millennial, like finding a job that you're actually passionate about, not just good at, things like that. Getting too comfortable, I guess, in a certain routine. So, which, wink wink, nudge nudge, sounds like the virus, right? So yeah, it's definitely really clever, and I like how it intertwines topics such as immigration and identity with this really wacky, kind of scary premise. On the lighter side, I then read Take a Hint, Danny Brown, which is Talia Hibbert's second book in the Chloe Brown books universe thing, the Brown Sisters universe. I don't know what it's called. As to be expected, this book was adorable. It was super funny, super sexy, very fun, and I just had a really good time reading it. This is about Chloe Brown's sister, Danny Brown, who is a PhD student who is very focused on her work. So she's very one-track minded when it comes to work, but she also is really into hookups. She's had bad relationships in the past, and she's not trying to deal with the whole relationship thing anymore. She just wants a nice fuck buddy, and than for them to leave at the end of the day. So when her last entanglement doesn't really work out, she prays to a goddess that she can find the perfect fuck buddy. And then a few months later, along comes a viral video of her friend Zafir rescuing her from a burning building, and a video of them goes viral and everyone thinks they're a cute couple, and so they decide to play into it. Because there are added benefits for them if they go along with the whole idea. And from there, it follows the fake dating relationship with steamy romance and just, you know, just feelings, all this stuff. It was really good. I thought the characters in this book were super distinct from the characters in Chloe Brown, and I like that their relationship and background was very different. However, I do feel like this book follows similar, like, formulaic plot points to Chloe Brown, and it just felt very similar in some ways. I didn't hate that about the book, but I just thought it was kind of predictable and just a little too similar to the first book for me. Then I read Fangirl Volume 1, which is the manga adaptation of the very famous and beloved Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. This book was adorable. I read Fangirl many years ago now, and I love that book. It was very cute. I know people don't like Rainbow Rowell anymore, and I want to know why, because I really have no idea what people don't like about her. But for me personally, I enjoy her books, and getting to read this illustrated adaptation of Fangirl was really fun. First of all, Levi is super hot. Like, I did not picture him being as hot as he is in the manga, but I'm okay with it. Reagan is also super hot, and I think I kind of knew that from the books, but yeah. But seeing her actually drawn out, I was like, okay, Reagan, okay. Obviously, since it's just the book, but in picture form, it's pretty much the same. There's nothing I can really say about the story that didn't really work. However, there are some things like time jumps and narration from Kath that just didn't work for me. I also didn't know that it wasn't going to be the whole book because I wasn't paying attention to the whole volume 1 thing. Apparently it's going to be 4 volumes, which again, I just did not know. And so I thought I was going to get to read the whole thing in one sitting, but nope, it is just one part of the book. So I will look out for the rest of them, I guess, in the next few Octobers. That's so far from now. Wow. Wow. Okay, finally I have the 2-star read of the bunch, which was Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I wanted to like this book. I even ended up kind of liking it at the end, I think. It grew on me. But this writing, just no, it's not good. It's not good, especially in the beginning. I think once it stops being about her thoughts and her trying to figure things out and more about the action and having other characters speak, it saves the book a little bit. But at first, this book is bad. There was like a line in the book that said something about moonlight spilled over the rooftops like silver blood. Like, what? The prologue is from the perspective of the grandmother in this book and talking about like her twin granddaughters, and that worked for me. I liked the third person, but then by the first chapter it's first person and it's from Amelia, who our main character is. It's from her perspective. And Amelia, just no. This book very much gives me the same vibes I had when I was reading The Gilded Wolves, which I read back in like May, I don't even know. And with that book, I just remember feeling like it was so fake and so forced, and it felt like, what's it called when like the computer writes the script? I don't remember what it's called, but like when like a bot writes a script for you or something. That's what I felt like when reading The Gilded Wolves, and that's what I feel when I read this. It's like taking Sarah J. Maas type characters and putting them in with like fan fiction, and I don't even know how to describe it, but it just felt so basic. Like in every interaction that Amelia has with the hot guy main character Wrath, he'll say something like, "Ooh, like, you can't make me put on a shirt, witch," and then she'll be like, "Oh, well, you can't tell me what to do, demon." It just was not good dialogue. You could tell that she was trying to write a hate to love, but I just was like, y'all are just annoying. You're annoying to anyone who's ever in a room with you. I would not want to listen to you speak to each other. It's not fun hate. It's just annoying hate, and it's not convincing hate either, because you can tell from the moment they meet that they want to pull each other's clothes off. So I guess I should explain what this is about. So Amelia is a witch. She has a twin sister who's also a witch, and they come from a family of witches, but they have to keep it a secret because no one can know. They live in like a historical Italy setting, and they make sure you know that. One of my biggest pet peeves is when you just throw in random Italian words or throw in random Spanish words or throw in whatever language just so you know that they're speaking that language. And it just feels so forced and not good. And she said fantastico, and I'm like, stop. Just like, I know you can say fantastic. I'm gonna assume you're speaking in Italian. You don't have to throw in that one random word that everybody knows. It's cringy and it's bad. Stop it.
Stop it. Get some help.
But we're talking about the synopsis still. So basically, Amelia's twin sister ends up being murdered and she tries to solve the murder. She suspects that it was one of the 7 princes of hell, and she ends up using the help of the Prince Wrath, who is the Sin Wrath, in case you didn't get that on your own. And that together they are trying to solve who murdered her sister and this larger thing that's going on surrounding it. So overall, I would give this a 2 or 2.5 stars. And I am kind of mad because by the end of it, I did kind of want to read the next book. So I guess I'm doing that. Like, it had its steamy moments that kept me invested, but I didn't care about anything that was going on. None of the characters are very interesting. They all feel like cutouts. They all feel like cookie cutter shaped people that you would find in any edgy romance / fantasy, and I don't know. This is a very much derivative of everything else that I've ever read in this kind of vein. So yeah, I don't know. It wasn't for me. Maybe other people will like it. I have no idea why it has like 4 stars on Goodreads right now. These are all the books that I read during November. Like I said, it was a light month, but I hope to read much more in December. School is going to be over soon. I will have so much more time. I have challenges to complete because the year is almost over, and I have not read nearly as much as I needed to. So I'm excited for what December reading is going to look like. If you've read any of the books in this little stack here, please let me know your thoughts on them and let me know what you think about my thoughts on them. If you want to connect with me outside of YouTube, links are in the description to find my Bookstagram, or you can be my friend on Goodreads. And that's pretty much it. I'm done talking. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to see more content from me. In the meantime, happy reading for December, and I will see you soon in another video. Goodbye.